Hey everyone, get ready because we're diving deep into the world of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan.
Oh yeah, this will be good.
We've got this YouTube playlist of his top songs, so are you ready to explore?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Cool. And you know what's really interesting is that we're going to hear a mix of languages in these songs. Hindi, Urdu, and Punjabi. It's like a musical tapestry.
Oh, for sure. It reflects such a rich cultural background, and it adds a whole other layer to appreciating his music, you know?
Definitely. So let's start with Tumenda Lagi Bhul Jani Padegi. I have to say, this one really got to me. The phrase, "you will have to forget about worldly love." It just repeats and repeats. It's so intense, almost hypnotic.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Like it's not just music, it feels almost like a spiritual experience.
You know, you've hit on something super important there, because in qawwali music, that repetition isn't just, well, it's not just a technique, it's a spiritual practice.
Interesting.
Yeah, it kind of echoes this cyclical nature of seeking, right? Like you're continuously letting go of worldly attachments to connect with, well, something divine.
I see. So each repetition is like pulling you deeper into that state of letting go.
Precisely. Think of it like the whirling of a Sufi dancer.
Okay.
That continuous motion, it helps them shed those worldly distractions and focus on, well, the divine. And the repetition in Khan's music, it kind of serves a similar purpose.
That actually makes a lot of sense. It really adds another dimension to how I'm hearing the song now.
It's a whole different perspective, right? And
Sure.
and the lyrics themselves, they point to this core theme that you see throughout a lot of Khan's work.
Okay, what's that?
It's this contrast between earthly love and divine love.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so the lyrics go on to say, in the path of divine love, really emphasizes that spiritual yearning.
And then we move on to Kina Sona Deni Rab Ne Banaya, which has these beautiful Punjabi lyrics. It feels so different from the first song, but the devotion, it's still just as powerful.
Yeah, it's amazing how he can shift languages, but keep that emotional depth consistent. It's truly beautiful.
It really is. I have to ask, though, what does Kina Sona Tenu mean? I keep hearing it.
It means how beautiful you are, expressing just pure awe, deep longing, you know?
Wow.
And there's another phrase, Dil karta vektarava, which means my heart desires to see you. It's like almost the lover-like yearning, but directed at the divine.
It's incredible how he conveys that through music. I don't even understand the languages, but I can feel the emotion.
That's what's so remarkable about Khan's music. That emotional resonance is why it connects with people all over the world. These themes, love, longing, seeking something bigger than ourselves, they're universal. They go beyond culture and language.
You know, when I sent this playlist, I mentioned wanting to understand the lyrics better, but now listening to it, it feels like it goes beyond just the words,
Oh, absolutely. And that's where the Sufi influence comes in. Sufi mysticism is deeply connected to qawwali music. You even hear it in Dam Mast Colander, which praises Sufi saints. So it really roots the music in this rich spiritual tradition.
Yeah, I can see that.
Sufism emphasizes experiencing the divine through music, poetry, meditation. Qawwali, with its intense vocals and rhythms and spiritual themes, it's a powerful tool for that kind of exploration.
So that explains why his performances are so ecstatic. It's not just a concert, it's like he's inducing a trance.
Yeah.
Both in himself and the audience.
Exactly. Picture a dimly lit hall, incense filling the air, musicians on stage with these glowing instruments.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The harmonium with its droning sound, the tabla setting the rhythm, the dolak adding these percussive accents.
Wow, I feel transported just imagining it.
It's meant to be a multi-sensory experience, to transport both the performers and the audience into a spiritual ecstasy, to create a connection with the divine. And Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, he was a master at channeling that energy.
He really was. His vocal range is just unbelievable. He hits these incredibly high notes and holds them forever. How does he do that?
It's a technique called murki. It's a breathing practice specific to qawwali, where the singer controls their breath from the diaphragm.
Wow, so there's a specific term for that.
It allows for those extended phrases and intricate ornamentation that make his vocals so captivating.
I'm learning so much about quality.
And we're just scratching the surface. What's really amazing is that Khan didn't just inherit this tradition from his family, a lineage going back 600 years. He also pushed its boundaries. He modernized it and brought it to a global stage.
So he was a true innovator then, building on this incredible heritage, but shaping it for a new generation.
Exactly. And that's why his legacy continues to resonate with so many people around the world.
As we're listening to these songs, I'm noticing this recurring theme of love. Have you observed that in his work too?
Absolutely. Love, in all its complexities, is a central theme in qawwali, and Khan's work is no exception. You'll hear longing for the beloved, the pain of separation, even the anguish of unrequited love. But remember, this is often allegorical.
Right.
The beloved can symbolize the divine, so the lyrics can be interpreted on multiple levels.
So it's like earthly love becomes a metaphor for spiritual yearning.
Exactly. Khan weaves together poetry, music, and spirituality to create an experience that transcends language and speaks to something deep within us.
It's like he's using this language of love that we all get to guide us towards something, I don't know, bigger.
That's a really beautiful way to put it, actually. And it really does highlight how qawwali bridges that gap,
Yeah.
between the earthly and the divine, the human and the transcendent.
Yeah, there's this incredible sense of urgency in his music, a passion. It's not just background music, It feels active, like you're yearning to connect with something.
And that's because it's supposed to be an active form of worship.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the music builds, the rhythms intensify, the singers, they push their limits, and it's all to reach this higher state of consciousness.
So it's not just about listening to beautiful music, but actually participating in a spiritual experience.
Exactly. It's a musical climb towards the divine.
Wow. Okay.
Just as a climber needs, effort and determination, qawwali requires complete surrender from the performer and the listener.
It makes me wonder what it's like to be at one of his performances, surrounded by that energy.
It's electrifying. I was lucky enough to see him years ago. The atmosphere was incredible. As soon as he started singing, it felt like the whole room was transported. People swaying, clapping, some were even crying. It was powerful.
Wow, that sounds so moving. You can hear the intensity in his recordings, but to experience it live.
It's on a whole other level. And what's interesting? Even in those huge concert halls, Khan could create a sense of intimacy, like he was singing directly to you.
That's amazing. You mentioned earlier that he modernized qawwali, brought it to a wider audience. How did he do that?
Well, he started incorporating Western instruments, like the guitar, cello, creating this fusion that appealed to more people. He even collaborated with artists like Peter Gabriel and Eddie Vedder, introduced qawwali to folks who might never have heard it otherwise.
That's fascinating. So he wasn't just bridging cultures through the themes of his music, but through the actual sounds too.
Exactly. And this willingness to experiment, to push the boundaries of tradition. It was huge in bringing qawwali to the world.
This all sounds incredible. But for someone totally new to this, where would they even start?
Just listen, honestly. Let go of any expectations, just open your heart, and let the music wash over you. You don't need to know the languages or anything about qawwali or Sufism. Just feel it, the raw emotion, the yearning in his voice.
I think a lot of people might feel intimidated, though. Diving into something completely new can be daunting.
I get that, but music has this amazing ability to transcend language and culture, right? It goes straight to the heart. And with Khan's music, the emotion is so powerful, it just draws you in.
So you're saying just hit play and let the music work its magic.
Exactly. Let it be your guide.
I like that. We've been talking a lot about the spiritual, the emotional, but what about the technical stuff? What makes his singing so unique, so powerful?
Well, there's a few things. His mastery of that Merkin breathing technique we talked about that allows for those long phrases and all that intricate ornamentation. It gives his vocals that signature soaring quality.
Oh, right.
He also had this incredible ability to modulate his voice, shifting from these soft whispers to powerful crescendos effortlessly.
Like he's painting with sound.
Exactly, creating these dynamic shifts in emotion, and he did it with such precision and control. He wasn't just hitting notes, he was conveying a feeling, telling a story.
It makes me think about his legacy, not just for qawwali, but for music in general. What do you think his biggest contribution was?
I think it was his ability to bridge worlds. He brought together East and West, tradition and innovation, spirituality and artistry. Not many people have been able to do that.
It really is inspiring. What about you, though? What's your most powerful experience with his music?
That's a good question. There have been a lot of times when his music has really resonated with me, but one in particular comes to mind. I was going through a tough time, dealing with some loss and grief. I put on one of his albums, and as soon as his voice filled the room, I felt this wave of peace wash over me. It was like his music was acknowledging my pain, but also offering a sense of hope. A reminder that even in darkness, there's beauty, there's connection.
That's a beautiful story. It really speaks to how transformative music can be, how it can meet us wherever we are and offer comfort, healing.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about Khan's legacy. His music keeps touching people across generations, across cultures. It reminds us of our shared humanity, our capacity for deep emotion and connection.
It makes me think about our listener who sent this playlist in. What do you think they might get out of Khan's music, personally?
I think it could open them up to new ways of experiencing music, spirituality, even themselves. It's an invitation to explore their own emotions, connect with something bigger, and discover the power of sound.
Like we've been handed this key to a whole new world.
And the best part is, it's just the beginning.
It really is amazing how music can be so powerful.
It shows how universal human emotion is, Like no matter where you come from or what language you speak, everyone feels joy and sorrow and longing, and music, especially music like Khan's, well, it has this ability to tap into those shared feelings.
As we've been talking, I keep thinking back to that line from Kinis Sona Tenu Rabna Benaya, the one about wanting to sit beside the divine for like a lifetime. It really captures that devotion that we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? There's such a simplicity to that image, but it says so much about how deep that yearning is in Khan's music. It's not just a fleeting thing. It's this deep longing to be with the divine.
It makes you wonder what that kind of devotion looks like in our own lives. Does it have to be tied to a religion or a specific spiritual practice?
That's a really good question. I think devotion can take many forms. It could be, a passion for what you do, or a commitment to a cause, or even love for another person. It's about that feeling of being totally absorbed by something bigger than yourself, something that gives your life meaning.
Right. So it's not about being in a temple or chanting. It's about that fire inside you, that drive to connect with something that goes beyond everyday life.
Exactly. It's about finding what makes your soul come alive and going after it with everything you've got.
I love that. And it makes me think about how music can change us.
Yeah.
We talked about how Khan's music can be almost trance-like. But I'm curious about what other effects music can have. Can it actually change how we think or how we feel?
Oh, absolutely. Music has a huge impact on our brains and bodies.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Studies show that listening to music can release dopamine, that feel-good hormone. It can lower stress and anxiety, even improve how our brains work.
So it's not just entertainment, then it's actually good for us.
It really is. And certain kinds of music, like Khan's qawwali, can even be used therapeutically, The rhythms and melodies, the repetition, they can help people relax and focus, which can be really good for people who are dealing with trauma or addiction or mental health issues.
That's incredible. So music is like this tool that we can use to heal ourselves and connect with something deeper.
That's a great way to put it. It's a tool. And the best part is that everyone has access to it. You don't need any special training. All you need is a willingness to listen with an open heart.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's music, what's the one thing you want our listener to take away from this conversation?
I hope they feel inspired to explore music, with a sense of curiosity and wonder, that they're open to discovering new sounds, new rhythms, new ways of experiencing emotion and connection through music, and maybe most importantly, that they'll go deeper into the music that already moves them, uncover those hidden layers of meaning and beauty.
It's like we've opened a door to this whole universe of sound, and now it's up to each of us to explore and see what speaks to us.
Exactly. It's your journey to take.
So to our listener, we'll leave you with this thought. What other musical traditions might speak to you in that same way? What hidden gems are out there waiting to be found? The world of music is so vast, there are endless opportunities for exploration, inspiration, and connection. So go out there, listen with open hearts and open ears, and see what you can find.